Some of you are not going to like this video, but for some of you, I feel like it's what you need to hear, because at some point I needed to hear this big time. The only reason you're not going to get to your goals is because of yourself. I don't care what you've been through in your life. I don't care how life has knocked you down, has felt unfair. Until you decide that you're going to change your life and you actually start showing up and changing it, it's not going to change. And people come into this space and they are so wishy-washy. They think they can just watch a video and their life will change. They think they can just roll out of bed and listen to affirmations and their life will change. It takes work to change your reality. It takes work to change your beliefs, to change your paradigm, to change your identity, who you think you are, what you think you deserve. If you have a lot of negative or limiting wiring built into you, it's going to take work to unwire that, but you're the only one who can do that work. And the minute you realize that you have the power in the situation and you're the only one that actually can change this, is the minute that it actually starts to change. Because you keep looking for a video, you keep looking for one person to come and save you. It's on you. You have to do it. And I've fallen into this trap where I have just kind of cruised through life and I've expected things to just happen for me. I've been entitled almost, I will admit, where I think I can do a little bit of work and see the results. Or I can, I'm entitled to just automatically have people buy my service or sign up for my thing or whatever it is. I have this attitude, and a lot of us have this attitude where we just assume that we are entitled to things changing without actually putting in the reps that need to be put in. But I want you to think of every single person, whatever you want to do, anyone you look up to, they had to put their reps in some way. And this is something I constantly had to remind myself of when I started in this space. You want the goal and the goal is up here, but you have to take all the little steps to get there. And you're never going to get there because you just don't want to take the steps. Because they're boring and they're slow and they're painful and whatever. And people glamorize the outcome, but they don't ever focus on the process. But I'll tell you right now, the process is what makes the outcome so wonderful and so magical and so beautiful. I had a big goal come into fruition today. One of my biggest goals yet. And I was very emotional, very happy, very grateful. Because of the journey that it took to get there. Not because of the thing that I achieved. The thing that I achieved, yes, it meant a lot to me. It really did. But it meant a lot to me because of the person I became in the process and because of the work that I had to do in the process. And each time I fell off, I got back on and I made it more concrete every single time. Like, this is what I have to do. For me, I had a lot of wiring I had to undo. I have to meditate every morning. Almost every morning. I have to journal. When I feel like I need to get shit off my chest, I fucking write it down. I never grew up doing these things. This is not something I ever wanted to do. I had to train myself to do it. So you see other people doing it and you think you're just bad at it. You're not bad at it. You just haven't put your reps in. And if you have a lot of negative wiring or stuff internally that goes against what you want or who you want to be, you can't skip the work. You can't watch a video and expect your life to change. You have to do the work. And I'm sorry to bring it to you so harshly, but I've spoken to people recently and, they're saying, I've tried everything. And I get really into it. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. And then we actually get into it. And eventually they're like, I actually haven't really done anything consistently at all. And maybe I actually did feel better when I meditated for a week, but then I stopped. And it's like, well, no wonder you didn't see the fruits of your labor. You didn't keep going. And the thing is, yeah, the work is hard when it's unfamiliar. Of course it is. It's new. You're bad at it because it's new. It's going to be tricky. It's not going to be nice for you to be getting up, meditating, journaling, breaking through your limiting paradigms, taking actions that make you uncomfortable. It's not going to be nice at the start. But eventually the work becomes routine, it becomes enjoyable, it becomes your life. What it is just what it is. It's a part of your day. And when you get to that point and you finally accept that you're always kind of going to have to do the work. If you're going to keep setting goals, if you're going to keep leveling up, there's always going to be work to be done on yourself. And as soon as you get that in your head, that's when things will start to change. This is what I really need you to realize. And this is what I wish I knew. The work does work. It does work. You actually have no choice but to achieve your dreams and get what you want in life, so long as you just keep taking the steps towards that and keep putting in the reps. The only problem is you're not actually putting in the reps. You're too busy complaining about, I've tried everything. No, you haven't. If you tried everything, you'd be there. Okay, that's a victim statement that puts you in a state of powerlessness. That puts you in a state, I can't do it. These are limiting beliefs. They're limiting statements. When you say something like that, it immediately shows me you haven't tried everything. You haven't really tried anything at all properly, and you haven't given anything enough time, because if you had, something would have worked in one way or another. You would have seen a small bit of progress. So try again, try harder. Like, the work works when you actually do it. When you commit yourself to your vision, when you actually set your goal very, very clearly, and you repeat to yourself twice a day, 3 times a day, what it is you're heading for, what exactly it is that you're embodying and that you're bringing into your life, and you keep it top of your mind all day, every night before you go to bed, every morning when you wake up, when you meditate, and you show up as the version of yourself that has what you want consistently. And when you fall off and default to what was familiar, you recommit again. And when you fall off, you recommit again. You reset the vision, you embody it again. You keep going on that path. It has no choice but to manifest into your life. And you don't need a manifestation trick. You don't need all of these fucking stupid hacks, stupid affirmations that don't resonate with you and just make you feel worse. You don't need any of that. You just need to actually show the fuck up and do the work. Show up as the person who has what you want as much as you can. Be in the embodiment energy as much as you can. And literally, reality has to change. It's law. When you actually start changing your mind, the physical has to follow. So it's not that you're cursed, it's not that you're hexed. You can't defy the laws of the universe. If you change your mind, reality will follow. So stop blaming, all these things outside yourself. Stop blaming whatever manifestation tools you're using, whatever tricks you're trying. It's not the tricks, it's your belief in it, and it's your consistency in it that's the problem. We get way too focused on outcomes because that's how society is set up. We just see the end of the trail where everyone has already hit their tipping point, but we don't see all the little steps up until that point. We don't see all the shifts that someone had to go through to be able to get to that point. And this is why when you're going down this path, and when I've gone down this path, make a conscious effort to watch things, engage in things that focus on the process that a person went through, not on their outcome. Because that will wire into your brain like, okay, nobody has had it that fucking easy that they just said an affirmation and woke up and had the money. Like I all these things on like TikTok and stuff, like all these tricks, I have fallen in that trap as well, where I'm like, if I just say it gets to be easy, then it gets to be easy. But like, it doesn't really work when you have a limiting paradigm and a lot of limiting beliefs built up, and you're addicted to your old frequency, you're addicted to your old self. One affirmation is not going to break that, okay? That's strong. So you have to be stronger. And that's my main point with this. You have a strong old self that's really set in stone, set in your old frequency. So your consistency, your belief, your determination, your imagined new reality, and you feeding into that reality with your imagination consistently is what will break that. But you have to stay dedicated to it, and it will come. Like, then it has no choice but to come in. So when you're on this path, watch content that only shows you what people had to do, what people had to shed, like the processes that people went through in order to become who they are. Watch transformation stories that when you watch them, you find it really inspiring, because someone went from nothing to having everything they could have dreamed of. Those are the things that you should be consuming, not just stupid shit where someone is just flashing what they have and they don't tell you how they got it, and it's all this stuff that just makes you feel more and more depressed. There is a mosquito in this room. If you come scare me, I'm gonna fight it. One of my favorite videos I ever watched was a story about the UFC fighter Francis Ngannou, and it stayed with me forever because he came from a place where nobody got out. Nobody ever really achieved anything. You can't leave the country very easily. He was from Cameroon. He couldn't leave where he was from very easily. There was no opportunities where he was from. And so on paper, he had absolutely no chance of making it really at anything. And when you listen to what he put himself through in order to go after his dream of, he wanted to do boxing, but he ended up in MMA. He actually ended up in boxing then eventually, but that was his dream, was to fight. And he was trying to get to Europe to do that, right? And he had to illegally leave the country and cross the border. And he had to stay in like basically a homeless position where he was out in the wild, fending for himself for a year. He tried to cross the border like 9 times, I think. And it's a near-death experience every time you try to cross the border. So not only did he have to train physically and become like of the skill to be a fighter, but he also had to illegally somehow get across the border so he could have the opportunity to actually fight in fights that mattered, that could qualify him for bigger fights. And he did it, and he became a world champion UFC fighter and ended up fighting for the world championship in boxing. And like, if that doesn't tell you the power of human will and the human spirit, I don't know what will. And the problem is, you think you don't have power. And the more I'm talking with people, the more I'm seeing this. And I can relate to this because I felt like this for so long. We think we don't have any power. We're all given the exact same amount of power and energy within us. We're all just souls in a human vessel with a subconscious mind and the power to create. If you're consuming anything, you need to consume things that make you believe in the power of human potential. Just like that Francis Ngannou story, whatever you can find that makes you really get into your head that we individually have so much power to create what we want in our lives, then just focus on consuming just that, because you need to realize how much power you have. As soon as you stop giving it away to everything outside you and you stop acting like a victim in your life, that's when you get your power back. As soon as you stop feeding into things that drain you, whether it's your relationship, this is a big one. If you're in a relationship and you're drained and you can't go after your dreams because your relationship is taking all your energy, get out of that relationship. I know it's easier said than done, but your energy is what is making that relationship special. Because you're pouring energy into that. You're putting that person on a pedestal because you're giving them your energy. And I guarantee you, as soon as you take that energy back and you call it back into yourself, they're not going to seem that special anymore. It's because you're giving all of yourself all the time to everything around you, to your co-workers, to your family, to your significant other. And that's why you feel drained, and that's why you feel powerless. You're not giving your energy to anything that means something to you. And that is your bad. I know we're brought up to give to others and to be selfless, but that's not really how you should be. Like, that is a really terrible way to be. That is a sure way to be miserable for your whole life. You must give to others, but you must also receive, and you must give to yourself. You must receive your own love. You must receive your own attention. And the most self-loving thing you could ever do is to chase after your dreams and what you want, unapologetically, without explaining it to anybody, because you know what you want and you deserve to go after it. It doesn't have to make sense for your mom or your dad. It doesn't have to make sense to your friends. It only has to make sense to you. And once you know what that is, it's your decision then to go all in on it, because these are the two choices you have. You can go all in and you can do the work, and you can guarantee that you will get there when you commit to showing up as the version of you who has what you want as much as you can every single day, every single moment. That's option A. Option B, you can think about it sometimes. You can kind of half commit. You can try things. You can try to show up, but you don't fully commit yourself to the new path. and you can guarantee that you'll never get there. That's just how it goes. And so until you really actually decide that this is your path and this is who you are becoming now, then the shift has not even started and it won't happen. You have to make the decision. And even when you make the decision here today on this video, which I hope you already have, you're going to have to keep making that decision as much as you can. So when you're sitting on the couch and your habit is to watch Netflix and your habit is to reach for the Doritos, you know that what you should be doing is making a landing page. You know that what you should be doing is reaching out to businesses for your new business venture. Whatever it is, you know you should be doing these things. You decide again to recommit to your new vision and you go and do them. You break up with your old self because all that old self is doing is bringing you a known reality. It's the reality that you're living right now. And that's all you're going to keep getting if you don't decide to change and if you don't actually physically start changing. You may not want to hear this, but you're staying where you are because you think that that will be less painful than changing. Your perception of like the amount of work you're going to have to do on yourself for things to change, the amount of discomfort you're going to have to feel in order to change, you think that that's going to be more painful than staying where you are. And so I invite you to do this exercise because I want you to get this into perspective. You have a false perception about what's actually painful, okay? And when you realize what actually is painful, your behavior will change. So you can take a piece of paper and draw on one side you now, your current habits, and be so for real. Don't lie to yourself. Be so for real about how lazy you are, how much time you spend scrolling, your sleep cycle, your eating habits, your exercising, and how much you're not actually going for anything that you want in life, how much you're giving energy to other people, how much you're complaining, how much you're feeding into things that are bad for you, okay? And then also write down whatever good things you've got going on now as well, right? Draw a stick figure of yourself in a circle around, draw all these things you're doing right now, all the things you're doing every single day, the most consistently, the things you're watching, what you're saying, what you're wearing, everything. Write it down and say, me now, right? And I want you to genuinely think about this person who you have been, what is their results and what are the results going to be? They're going to be the same as what you've got right now. I hate to break it to you, but unless you've changed dramatically today, right before you watch this video, if you've been the same for months on end, or you keep defaulting to the same behavior over and over again, your results are going to keep within a certain range. You're not going to be able to break above that. So I want you to write down the stick figure, all of the habits, results, routines, everything around it. You now, right? And the results coming from that. And then I want you to write on the other side of the page, you most embodied, you most empowered. What do you talk about? What do you pay attention to? What are your habits? Do you read more? Do you create more? How many hours a day are you working on your passions? Because you're going to have to start somewhere, otherwise it's never going to happen. I don't care how busy you are, by the way, you always have time to work on your passions. You can make time. How many times are you working on your passions? Who are you allowing into your life? What are your boundaries? What are you eating? How are you treating your body? Everything that this version of you does. Everything. And I want you to write down what results they can get in 3 months' time, 4 months' time, 6 months' time. And then I want you to look at that, okay? And tell me honestly which one looks more painful. When you zoom it out and you look at your life in 6 months, a year, 5 years, which one actually is more painful? Staying as you are or evolving into the highest version of yourself? You know the answer to that. I know, like, you're going to realize, yes, it will take work. Yes, it's going to be uncomfortable. Yes, I'm going to have to get familiar with being disciplined, with resetting my dopamine receptors because my brain is fried and I don't know how to read a book, with learning how to meditate. It's going to be uncomfortable. It's going to be unfamiliar. I'm going to have to learn how to have confidence, how to speak, whatever it is you need to do. It's going to be difficult, but it's also going to be very, very enjoyable, because you're going to finally feel that relief of you showing up as the person you always knew you could be. And there's nothing more painful than untapped potential. There's nothing more painful than sitting there watching the days, months, years go by, knowing you should have started 2 years ago and you would have been there by now if you had just started. Do you know how many times I've said to myself, if I had started a year ago, I would have been there by now with this channel, with everything I've done with my business. And I always regret just not starting sooner. You don't have to get ready. You don't have to prepare. You just have to show up and start. When you start, you get ready. You realize all the things that you needed to know. You realize that you were capable all along. And you realize that it was so much more painful staying as this version of you that's nowhere near your potential. This is the problem. When you start doing the work, the first few weeks, you're going to be like, I don't have time for this. This is uncomfortable. I don't like this. Whatever. And your old reality is going to keep trying to pull you back in. It's okay. Sit down, relax, whatever. And you should relax. But I'm just saying, it's going to try to get you to default to your old settings, right? So the first while when you're doing this, it is tough. It's like going to the gym. The first few weeks are tough. But once you adapt and once you start shifting into this higher version of yourself, you do not want to go back, because you realize it was way worse down there. So you'll come out actually on the other end of this with the other problem, where you won't be able to indulge in bad habits like you did before, because you don't feel good. You have pain attached to that now, and you have pleasure attached to showing up as this version of you who can live the life that you want to live. It becomes genuinely so enjoyable. You start looking at life differently. You start seeing opportunities that were never there. You feel different. You feel more confident, and you realize you were attaching pain to a little bit of discomfort. You were attaching this mountain of pain to something that was just a little bit uncomfortable. But even when it's uncomfortable, there's still pleasure in it, because you know you're evolving through the discomfort. We are so powerful, but everything around us tries to take that power away, and we're the only ones who can take it back. And we start with what we're saying about ourselves, about the world around us. That's how we start. And then we start doing practices, stilling our mind, incorporating good habits, reducing this dopamine zapping that we have constantly, getting our focus back, getting our concentration back. This is how you start to do it. And when you set a goal, it will become clear to you, your intuition will make it clear to you what you will have to do. And it's up to you whether you follow that or ignore it, but it's there for you and it will guide you. You just have to learn how to trust yourself. And you trust yourself when you start showing up for yourself, because all this time that you spent pushing your goals away, you subconsciously know that you're hurting yourself really by not showing up as your full authentic expression of yourself. You have to be delusional until it works. You have to be, because I always say, to be delusional is to act in a way that does not match up to your current reality, your current physical. But that doesn't mean that the physical won't catch up, because first you have to do it mentally. The vision needs to be set in your mind. The vibration needs to be created within you first, okay? And so then your reality will follow. So your commitment to the new reality that you want, to visualizing it, to, acting as if it's already there, will bring it in. You just have to stay committed to it. Write down exactly the outcome that you want. Write down how much money you want to be making, what you want to be creating, what you want to do. Detach from everything in your life right now and write down ideally everything that you want to have in your life, everything that you want to be, every energy that you want to embody, your friends, your career, everything. Write it down. Get hyper specific. Read it as many times as you can throughout the day and invest your emotions into it as if you're already living it. Okay, and this is why you need to write your own, these are like affirmations, but it's your own story. You're scripting your own story for your own life. So it's not based on anything else. It's based on what you want for yourself. And get so specific. Like if you're feeling tension in a certain friendship, keep writing, like my friends are loyal and genuine and supportive, whatever. Get super, 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 super specific with every area of your life and go over it again and again and again. And wake up in the morning and decide to act like that's what it is for you in your reality. Show up like that is the truth for you. And there is no other option but for your reality to change. Every single time there's an unfavorable circumstance in your life, instead of complaining about that circumstance, you focus on what you want to happen and focus on embodying how that can be true for you right now, today. That's how you change it. Not complaining about it. Every single time I have a circumstance or something come up in my life that I am not a fan of, I would like it to change. My first instinct is complain, is moan about it. My second is to stop myself immediately and write down instead what I do want. I write it down super, super detailed. I focus, I put my energy, I put my emotion into it like I'm already living it. And then I focus on how that can be real for me right now. Yeah? And the thing is, you need to like set your intention and set your emotions on that setting, but detach from your reality, detach from waiting for it to actually change. Just focus on how you can create that feeling within yourself, but stop looking for evidence. Just be in that energy and decide to be happy. Decide to feel like it's already done. Decide to show up like it's already done. I was posting videos on this channel, for example, when I was getting like no views, as if I had 1 million subscribers, because that's the energy that I want to embody. You can do that with anything. Like you can act like it's done and not be looking for evidence, because that is what will make you feel good in the moment, because really the goal is just the marker. You're really just trying to become the person who has it. So that's the first step, is to just become it. I almost forgot the power of this, and every time I was having kind of an unfavorable circumstance or something come up, I was complaining about it. I was, trying to just change it, push it away. I was trying to fight back in my physical reality. And then I realized, I had a few areas of my life that were gone off track, that were not ideal. And I realized I have to change the narrative in myself first in order for the world to reflect that back to me, in order for the physical to show that to me, right? And so I got into my notes app in my phone and I wrote every single section, every single thing, what I ideally wanted to feel like in the present tense moment, like I was feeling it right now. Everything. Like I felt like I was looking so ugly. I was just going through a phase where I just felt ugly. I felt awful. I couldn't even look in the mirror for a while there. Like it was getting really weird, but it's because something triggered me, and obviously it started this negative cycle that I wasn't really aware of. Then I started complaining about it. So I went in my notes and I wrote in, I am radiant. I am more beautiful every single day. I'm glowing. I'm full of light. I'm full of energy. I'm full of positivity. Every section of what I was frustrated with, I wrote down what I actually wanted, and I affirmed it to myself every morning, every night, middle of the day, whenever I was feeling weird. And I would take a deep breath and feel the energy like I was living it right now. Feel the emotions like I was living it right now. Take the actions as if it was my reality right now. I started doing my makeup differently. I started doing my hair differently. Other areas like friends, I started doing more activities. I started going out there, doing things that I know I have to do in order to embody this version of me who has these things. And guess what? Within a week, all areas have shifted to exactly where I wanted them to be. It works. All I'm trying to say is it works. It's not magic. It's frequency. It's vibration. It's the law of the universe. It starts internally. The universe is mental. You have to change your mind about what is real for you, and then what is real for you will change. I'm talking to more and more people now as I take people for coaching, and I notice with so many of my clients, they are looking at everything around them, and I'm like, well, this is the first thing we got to work on, because your energy is pouring out constantly into a version of events that you do not want to persist. And so the only way for you to actually change them is to stop fighting physical with physical. You have to change your mind. You have to be a little bit delusional, and you have to say, I am making more and more sales every day. If you're in sales, if you're making sales of anything, I'm making more sales every day. I'm getting more beautiful every day. I make more friends every day. I have a more healthy relationship every single day. Write down things that you can actually buy into. You don't want to say, I am a billionaire, because if you're miles away from that, you won't believe it. But you can say, I am creating more sources of abundance every day. I am getting more wealthy every single day. And even if you might not fully believe that at first, it's still easier to believe than I'm a billionaire. You know what I'm saying? You have to start prompting your subconscious with these things consistently, again and again and again. And then your intuition will kick in on what you need to do to start taking steps in those directions. And when that intuition kicks in, you have to follow that. That's on you then. You're getting like, it's almost like you're giving prompts, okay, to the mental. The mental takes that information, processes it, and gives you an instruction to carry out in the physical. This might be something subtle. It might be something small. Like, I got a prompt to join a particular gym here, which I didn't ever really want to join before, but I had written down that I want to meet more people here, I want to find more friends here, and that was something I was embodying a lot. And so I got this mental prompt. I woke up and it was like, join this gym. I joined the gym. First day I went there, I made a friend. You see what I'm saying? Little things. You have to follow the nudges once you give the prompts, because you're being given instructions. And it's on you whether you follow them. The more you resist those instructions and those intuitive hits, even if they don't really make sense, the more you resist them, the worse you're going to feel. You're going to feel energetically. You really need to get into tune with how you're actually feeling. You're going to feel energetically whether you're doing something that makes sense to your intuition or not. Like whether you're going against what you should be doing or not, because you're going to get more energy. You're going to feel better when you actually do these things versus when you don't. I'm going to leave it on that note. I hope this video helped, and I will see you in the next one.